Hello friends, today we're going to talk about something super important, food waste. With the economy being what it is right now, it is important that we save every penny we possibly can. Whether you're a meal prepper, a person cooking for one, or someone just trying to save money and be more sustainable, I'm going to give you 6 tips to make the most out of what's in your kitchen and hopefully cut down on waste. So let's dig in. Number 1, buy only what you plan to eat. So this is a tip for when you're shopping. Do not be coerced into purchasing or buying food that is on sale. Say for instance there's an offer for avocados and they're $3.50. I don't know how much they are these days. $3.50 for 2. And if you buy 4, that's $6. Now, if you are someone that makes lots of guacamole, uses avocado, it makes perfect sense. If you are not, and you are likely not going to use the other 2 avocado, don't buy it. It's a great saving, but it's not a saving for you. So to avoid food waste, do not buy things that you are not going to use, or likely it's going to be a push for you to use them, but because it's on sale, you're buying them. That is just total food waste of money and a waste of food. So stay away from any deals that do not make sense. But of course, if they make sense, then you must take the deal. It's the same with I shop online, so they often have suggested items. If you buy this, you could also buy this. Now, I only do that if that makes sense. So be careful of those tricks. They're traps, really. You are more than likely not going to use them. You only wanted what you wanted in the first place. You didn't want any more. So just stick with what you need, stick to your food budget, and move on. Number 2, you must store your food properly. Now, I have some containers here that I use. I've got this wonderful thing here. I use this to store fruit and veg, most tomatoes, anything that's going to fit, really, right? Anything that's going to fit. So blueberries, blackberries. In this household, we use quite a bit of, we have quite a bit of fruit, fresh fruit. So what I do is I wash them, dry, make sure there's as little water on them as possible. But this wonderful container actually has I don't know what you call this. It has a piece that fits in the bottom, and you can see it kind of sits above. It doesn't allow the fruit to sit at the bottom. So if there's any water, any liquid, it sits underneath. So this is a great container. And then it's mostly airtight once it's covered. So this stays fresh. It's absolutely an awesome container. I really like it. That's the little stand. And you just pop it in like that. Cover it up. Stores your fruit and allows the fruit to stay. The fruit will stay longer in a container like this. And I also have another one, this cute little thing here. And this is a small version of it. It doesn't have the little stand thing inside, but I can put little bits of things I've cut, like when I've cut my lemon or something, I put them in here just to keep them food safe, as well as keep them fresh as possible. So I recommend these. I bought these from Amazon, but I know some people are not patronizing Amazon right now. But I'm sure you can get these in lots of places. But I've had these containers for some time, and they're great. They really are good ones. So I'll pop a link down below if these are still available, because I've had these for so long that it may be that they're no longer available. But I'll see if they are or an equivalent. So as I said, I use those containers, and you also have to think about how you store food in your fridge. There was times a while ago where I was always wasting arugula. I buy arugula in clamshells, and what would happen is, I don't really buy bagged veg. They usually come in clamshells for me, but I know people do it as well. They buy bagged veg, and arugula would be one of those things that you can get in bags. And I would find that if it would end up at the back of the fridge, as you're doing what you have to do in the fridge, taking things out, putting things in, taking things out, putting things in, the arugula somehow gets pushed back to the back of the fridge. And that is it's a danger zone. Same as lettuce, all these leafy greens type of things. The back of the fridge is a danger zone for them. They should always be closer to the front or in your veggie drawer thing. To be honest, do not use my veggie drawer thing for, is that what it's called? I'm sure that's not the official term, veggie drawer thing. But the crisper, that's it. I don't generally use my crisper for my vegetables because I forget them. I can't see them. Even though they're clear, it's down the bottom of the fridge. It doesn't work for me. So I tend to use a shelf, keep an entire shelf, make sure they're all at the front. I line them up, put all the leafy greens on top of each other so they're not being squashed or squished, and keep them closer to the front of the fridge. If you've got apples in a container of some kind, you can store apples at the back of the fridge. I do that rather than on a tabletop. I always keep mine in the fridge, but that's usually because I juice them. I buy green apples and I add them to juices, just gives some sweetness. And so they're in the back of the fridge because they're in there for quite a while. They're leaving them for as long as possible. My crisper, I put potatoes in them. It's a great place for potatoes. I know where my potatoes are and I don't need to see them. But for leafy greens, I need to be reminded what I have to make sure I add them to my meals. Or eggs. Eggs is another thing. I keep my eggs at the top of the fridge where I can get to them easily, but I buy a dozen. So what I do is as soon as I can, I use the first two, and then when I store the eggs, I put the eggs with the empty holes where the first two eggs were in the back of the fridge, so the rest of the eggs don't freeze, because that's another thing I find. Sometimes my fridge will freeze some of the eggs. I think you can defrost them. I just don't like the idea of an egg being frozen and then using it again. Just if you store your eggs in the fridge, some people just leave them on the tabletop like a farmhouse, but I don't do that. Number 3, eat short, shelf-life, perishable foods first. Say that with me. Eat short, shelf-life, perishable foods first. And why do we do that? Because they're perishable, right? Obviously, the shelf life is short. They need to be eaten first. So always make sure that you, when you're planning meals, that you have your leafy greens. Make sure you eat them at the beginning of the week, and then anything that's left over, maybe. And for instance, what I would do to make sure I don't waste my leafy greens, I will juice some. Some will immediately I make a juice, 2 or 3, put them in the fridge, and we'll have salads and stuff the beginning of the week, or a side salad the beginning of the week. So whatever's left, I'll either use, I'll be able to use it quickly and not waste any, or if it's getting to the point where it's just not working out, I might, depending on what the vegetable is, I might be able to freeze it. For instance, if it's corn, I buy corn on the cob sometimes, fresh rather than frozen. So I will take them off the cob and wash, let them dry, and put them in the freezer in a container, in a freezer safe container, and save them so that I don't waste it at all. So yes, make sure you eat your short shelf life foods early in the week. So number 4 is kind of like a segue to number 3, and that is your freezer is your friend. Your freezer is your friend. Take advantage of her. Depending on your size of a freezer will determine how much you can store in your fridge, right? But it's still your friend. You can see here, just have a little box, a little freezer ice box. And I utilize that baby the best I possibly can. On the door, I have 2 shelves. I use the shelves. Every part of my freezer is utilized. And I think when I moved into this apartment, it had 2 shelves in the freezer. I took one out so that I could store more in, because the whole shelving thing was just not working for me. So I took it out. I put whole chickens or parts of chicken in my freezer. I store chicken stock. I make chicken stock and I store it in the freezer in those reusable plastic containers. So I need some space. I only wish I had one of those fridges, the double door fridges, one side freezer, one side fridge. Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? But I don't. If you do, I am pleased for you. You can store raw meat in the freezer. You can also store cooked meat in the freezer. And so sometimes when I have cooked a chicken breast and I've done a salad and I'm thinking I'm going to do something tomorrow with the rest of the chicken, but something comes up and I'm not home or I'm not able to do it, I will put that too, the cooked chicken, in a freezer bag and store it. When meat is cooked and frozen, I do not use it in the same way as I would as if it was frozen from fresh. I use frozen cooked meat more in a casual dining way rather than fresh food, which I will use for more, to have a good, tasty, fresh meal. Other than meats and so on, of course, it's a good idea to, when you're shopping for food, if you know you're the sort of person that has to throw away vegetables a lot, buy less vegetables and buy some frozen. And so once the vegetables are done, you've got your backup frozen ones. I do that sometimes. I buy like the mixed veg. I buy corn. I have peas in my freezer. So when I'm making a fried rice, for instance, like I mentioned before, using some frozen meat, I just chuck in all the frozen stuff, put it all together, and boom, we're gone. There's other things, though, that I put in the freezer. And, for instance, I mentioned stock, chicken stock. I make, when I can, I make my own. I buy it too. So I store them in reusable plastic containers like this. These things are great because I reuse them. Some people they're not happy about plastic, but I use these on a regular basis until they start to perish, and then I'll throw them away. But oh no, this one's got a hole in it. This one has to go. This one has to go. It's got a bit of a hole in it, so I'll get rid of this one. But better inspect these, otherwise I'll lose my stock. I don't want to lose my stock. So yes, these I use on a regular basis for things like stock. I also store my rice in these. It just makes them easy to stand up in my freezer here. It just makes it easy. Some people buy for soup and other things, to save little bits of food. They get those. They have those silicone. What are they called? Molds. They have the silicone molds, right? And that's a really good idea. I really like that idea. But again, I only have a box freezer. I have this ice box, and so having things that have rigid shapes to them, are not ideal for me because I'm kind of shoving this here and shoving that here to make sure I can get the most out of the space in my freezer. So I do something else. I use plastic wrap. I know it's not great to use plastic wrap, but I do. It saves me space. I can pop these things in the door. Let me get some for you. I just put these in the freezer, actually, so they're not quite frozen. Look, so this is tomato puree. And this is, what is this? Chipotle and adobo sauce. And what I do is, they're cute. What I do is I'm going to put these here. I just get a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, get some plastic wrap. I put them in the plastic wrap and make, a little baggie out of it. As you can see, this one I did that. And what will happen is once it's frozen, it will, you can peel it off. It's not going to, because I actually got this idea from Rachel Ray. She did it once. So I thought, I'm going to do that because this takes up no room in a freezer, right? No room in the freezer whatsoever, rather than a mold, like a tray or something, which would be like this wide and you'd have to fill each other. That doesn't work for me. But if you've got that big freezer, I would have those because I think they're great and you're not using these plastic things. But for me, this works wonders. And when it's completely frozen, what will happen is I can tie it as tight as I want, spin it as tight as I want. What will happen is I'll unravel it, pull the plastic away, and what you'll get is this little moldy thing. The shape, it will be this shape, and I can cut it if I only want half. It's perfect for me. I really like that. I like doing it, and thanks to Rachel Way for showing me the way years and years ago, because I've been doing this for years. I think it's a great idea. Bread. Do you like freezer bread? I always freeze my bread. The practice of freezing bread came into play because I used to live on my own, and I would buy a loaf of bread, and I would never get through it before it started getting green and fuzzy and spoiled. So I'm a toast lover. 2 slices of toast and a cup of tea in the mornings. Bagel with my coffee in the weekends, in the mornings, because otherwise it will perish in the fridge, will go green. It is not nice. I don't want to throw away my money. Number 5, utilize leftovers and reinvent new dishes. And what do I mean by that? Say, for instance, you made some rice. You were going to, you had some rice with a dish, and then you've got some rice left over. For one, freeze it. And then you can utilize it whenever you need to. It's not going to be wasted. And then you can make something like a chicken fried rice, whatever the case may be. You could just literally have vegetable rice. You can zhuzh up some plain rice and make it into something more interesting, or something different, rather than having rice in the same way for the entire week, because that is boring. I prefer not to have the same kind of. If I cook rice, I try to change the way I first cooked it, so that it just adds more interest to our meals for the entire week. Leftover meats. This is, as I said before, utilize your freezer, but you can also, it doesn't necessarily have to go in the freezer. Once it's cooked, my fridge, depending on the temperature of your fridge, I think, and the way your fridge works, but you should be able to store cooked meat in your fridge in a nice airtight container for about a week, I would say. My leftover meats, as I said before, I make something quite casual with it. And this is where, say, the beginning of the week, you cooked lamb and you've got some lamb left over. You can make some kebabs with the lamb. Some yogurt sauce, some kebabs, lovely. With the whatever's left over. You can, with chicken, this week I actually made chicken quesadillas. I got myself some, I think it's 10-inch tortillas. I put them in the pan with a little bit of, did I put oil? Yeah, with a little bit of oil. Put them in the pan. Then I put a layer of cheese, and I actually had some shredded cheese in the fridge for another time when I made some mac and cheese. I didn't need to use it all, and rather than just put it in or waste it, I just threw it in the fridge. And so I used that. I put a layer of cheese. I sauteed the leftover chicken with some black beans. I had a tin of black beans in the cupboard, and chopped up some onion, gave it lots of flavor. That's where I've got the chipotle in adobo. That's why I have some in the freezer, because I then put some of that in it and gave it that wonderful flavor, that Latin flavor. So I put a layer of the chicken and black beans mixture on top of the cheese on the tortilla, and then another layer of cheese, folded over the tortilla, and then made sure it was nice and golden brown on both sides. Hey presto, dinner. Cut it in half, dinner. And we had about 3 of those, and that satisfied me and the wonderful man I live with. We had a wonderful dinner. And it was easy. It was, after all the effort that sometimes you put in it, you can sort of utilize the effort at the beginning of the week and make it work for you at the end of the week, on a Thursday night, on a Friday night, when you're having something more casual. So really, I like that as an idea. It just makes life easier for you, and it makes meals more interesting. You can also throw some already cooked meat in a salad, right? If you're finding that you've got to a point where, hang on, I've got all this salad, I've got all this vegetables, create a salad, and you've got some leftover chicken, leftover meat, put it in. All you need, it just needs to be a medley of stuff, and you have a salad. There is no science, no true science to it. Whatever the things you like, put them together in a salad, create your dressing, and boom, you're done. Number 6, check the back of your cupboard or pantry. Now you're like, well, check the cupboard. Well, if you're like me, these are my cupboards where I keep my canned goods. And whatever if I'm buying something, I decide I'm going to make something, I buy a can of this or a can of that. Usually beans, for me is beans I usually have canned. What else? Pumpkin. It's odd things. I don't have that much canned food, to be honest with you, but I know people do. And baked beans. I'm British. I get baked beans. The good kind, Heinz baked beans. Because, you can have that stuff in your cupboard for a very long time and forget about it. I mean, to be honest with you, if I look in here, I might find something I've forgotten about. So I went to the back of the cupboard just to illustrate why you need to rotate your cupboard, right? Rotate the items in your cupboard. Because this truffle oil, I have had for some time. I know truffle oil. There's a lot of controversy because they say this isn't really truffle. They say it's not really truffle. It's some sort of synthetic situation. But what it is nice on is when you cook with it. I know it's an extravagance. I think I got this from Amazon. It's always Amazon. Oh, if you're interested, it's not a bad truffle oil, actually. No, it's not cheap. I'm sorry, it's not cheap. That's why we need to, make sure we don't waste our food, because food is not cheap, right? So, but what I'll do is I'll douse the chicken in this, I'll roast it, and then I'll slather some of this on, and it will make it taste really good. lots of garlic, lemon, truffle oil. That's what I'm gonna cook my couple. I've got 2 Cornish hens. I'm gonna cook those today. What else have I got? The back of some agave, blue agave. I don't know what to do with this. I don't, and I guess this is a holdover. This must have been there for a while. I'll use this in something soon, though. Maybe in dressings. I'm going to use this in dressing. Maybe today. I might use that in the dressing, side salad. Here, what have I got here? I don't know. Is this still good? I've got some oven-ready lasagna. It's been open for a while. Anyone have any ideas for sheets of oven-ready lasagna? I guess I could make a very small one because I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I could make them in. I have some small skillets. I've got some small ovenware I can cook in. Perhaps I'll do that. Just make a teeny tiny one because otherwise, if I buy another, I'll just end up in the same place. I tend to buy lasagna for the times when I am not at home to cook and the wonderful man in my life needs food. So I will buy lasagna, put it in the oven ready kind, put it in the freezer. I usually get the one from Trader Joe's, to be honest. Fresh Direct does one, but it's so expensive. But Trader Joe's is fine. It's a good price, so I'll get that for him. And needs must, because when I'm not here, poor man, he's not very good. He cannot cook. So we need to feed him. So that's why I have this. I cooked lasagna at some point, but it's due to the fact that I tend to give it to him when I'm not around. I don't cook it as much anymore. What else? Beans. I've always got beans, obviously. I don't know if this was really at the back. I think this might have just been pushed at the back. This is a recent purchase, and this will get used. Beans do not. I always use them in some way. I get bored of just doing rice. As I said, I cook a lot of rice. So with that in mind, this will go in some rice at some point. Tuna. This is a good lunch item. I might make some tuna salad. So I might just remind myself to do that. Perhaps I have my my salt. If you've been here before, I have this nice marble salt and pepper containers, and so then I've got kosher salt in there. So I think maybe the next time I'll put this in here, the sea salt instead, and I'll get used to it. I'll get rid of it in that way. And finally, some sesame oil. I think I use this. This must have just got pushed to the back, but it is a good reminder because it's just especially these containers where you can't see what it is, right? So this is sesame oil. I will make sure I use this. I can actually put this in a dressing with this. So maybe I'll do that, right? So those are things the back of my cupboard would either push to the back of my cupboard or been lit. This has definitely been in my cupboard for some time, the lasagna. So, this sesame oil is really, really nice. I like this brand of oils. They're really, really good. So if you're interested in getting, this is toasted sesame oil. It's very nice. So rotate your goods in the food that you have in your cupboards. Make sure you don't have things languishing at the back that you eventually have to throw out because it's been at the back. You've forgotten about it and it's been there for years and years and years and years, and now it's a waste of money. Make sure you do not waste your food because it's literally just sitting at the back of your cupboard. And so that's it. Those are my 6 tips. So if you liked my content today, please give me a thumbs up. Click out that subscribe button and the notification bell so it'll let you know the next time I upload. Take care until I see you soon. And until that time, eat well. You look after yourselves. Take care. Bye-bye.